not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I know the problem, you've got just one policy. You do the opposite of what the Donald does. Don't know what you believe just because you got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Open the borders, let Mamdani pick your pocket. Let the boys beat the girls, they got that extra rocket. A theology degree from Starbucks. You declare that America sucks. You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. If you're red, alright, let's get this party started. If you're left, you're blue and probably retarded. Like Rosie, De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, Kathy Griffin. No kings, no kidding, we don't live in Great Britain. If J6 was the worst thing you've ever seen, Soros, burning Sadie's a mostly peaceful thing. Bring back the cartels, commute their crimes, sack the fact checkers like the New York Times. He's a Nazi, a fascist, a racist dictator who lets you say what you want to say.
Luke, I am your daddy.
You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. No matter what he says, you must be really dumb, 'cause you keep blaming Trump for your problems.
Side effects of Trump derangement syndrome may include violent behavior, delusions, nightmares, insomnia, irrational hatred, hopelessness, anxiety, depression, blue hair, tantrums, inability to form coherent speech, difficulty maintaining gainful employment, and verbal diarrhea.
There's no cure in sight.
Hey guys, welcome to the program. Always good to remember, this program is going to air 7 days a week, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 777. Welcome to the crap. Lift a finger, folks. Give me a finger and share this program. We're going to have a discussion today. I want to know where you are, but I think the floodgates are open to Conspiracy Central. Lindsey Graham passing away, stuff like that. We're going to take just a long, hard look at it, right? We're just going to take a long, hard look at it. And I think it's important that we do that. That's why I talk about crap, folks. If you only knew how much crap goes on behind the scenes, I think it would depress you. And I'll tell you why I say that is because it depresses me. It's always tough. And it's tough to look at this stuff. And frankly, it will crush you. I have to work hard to try not to be crushed by this. And just like anyone else at time, I have to kind of refocus my efforts and make sure what I'm doing is productive. And this is kind of what today's program is, just a refocusing, because the floodgates are about to open on all this stuff, folks, by the way. Anyway, listen, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. It's a very simple proposition. Get your free gold and silver kit today. Just go to jovanlovesgold.com because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. It is. Digital dollars are coming. There is no way around it. And when you think people are fighting it, I'm telling you, 98% of people you see in this battle battling aren't really battling. It's more like collecting people into groups, because then they'll turn into your zombie messengers. And that's why I ask you to think for yourself, to look for yourself. And one of the things is this digital dollars coming, folks. Just go request your free gold and silver kit today. This is why I do it with the fine folks at Goldco, because now is the time to protect your money. It's simple as popping over to Jovan Loves Gold. I'm a little cricket there, ain't I? There you go. Okay. You know, Lindsey Graham suddenly passed away. Insert whatever descriptive you want in there. Well, around the opening of the program, I want to know, we'll start it off this way. Do you believe Lindsey Graham was assassinated? I want to know. You tell me what you think. Put it in chat. I'll watch it as the program gets ready to open. Have a few minutes to do it, and then we'll get started. We'll get started right after this.
Is technology killing our children? Are we inadvertently tuning our precious children and grandchildren into killers? The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. Award-winning, 4-time best-selling author, technology pioneer and futurist, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer presents the definitive manual saving your children, grandchildren, and all future children from the Gollum effect. Precious pixels. Deadly devices, how the digital and social era is creating killer kids. The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. The Gollum effect is not fiction or exaggeration. It is the quiet, relentless transformation happening in homes, schools, and bedrooms across our nation. Just as Smeagol became the hollow, obsessive Gollum clutching his precious ring, our children are being consumed by screens, algorithms, and digital validation that promise connection but deliver isolation, anxiety, fractured attention, and distorted identities. We see it in the toddler who tantrums without a tablet, the teen who cannot hold a conversation without checking notifications, and the young adult adrift in comparison and purposeless scrolling. As parents and as a nation, we must name this enemy clearly. It is not neutral technology. It is a powerful force engineered for addiction that preys on developing brains, eroding the very qualities our children need most. Deep focus, real relationships, resilience, creativity, and a secure sense of self. Ignoring it or downplaying it has already cost us dearly. Our most precious commodity, our children, our future, is at stake, and the time for complacency is over. We must know the enemy in this battle and be willing to face them head-on. To win this battle, we must first know the enemy, and then face it with courage and strategy. The Gollum effect thrives on convenience, normalization, and profit-driven design that exploits boredom, fear of missing out, and the human need for connection. It hollows out childhood through endless stimulation while starving young minds of unstructured play, nature, hands-on mastery, and undivided attention from loving adults. Facing it means rejecting the lie that everyone is doing it, or that screens are harmless entertainment. It requires intentional action, delaying personal devices, creating tech-free zones and rhythms, prioritizing outdoor adventures and real-world skills, teaching critical thinking about algorithms and comparison, and modeling presence ourselves. Parents, educators, extended family, faith communities, and mental health professionals all have vital roles. The good news is that practical, proven strategies exist, from family media audits and screen-free weeks to rich offline learning, spiritual formation, and accountability partnerships. We do not have to fight alone. When we name the threat and choose presence over convenience, we begin reclaiming the minds and hearts of our children. We can win this battle and save our future, but you must have a solid knowledge base and the tools needed to win. We can win this battle, and we must, for the sake of our children and the soul of our nation. Every family that implements device curfews and real-world adventures, every classroom that goes phone-free during learning, every faith community that forms identity in something eternal, and every young person who chooses accountability and purpose strikes a blow against the Gollum effect. Victory looks like children who play creatively for hours, teens who build deep friendships and meaningful skills offline, and young adults who enter life with focus, resilience, and hope. It looks like families eating together undistracted, laughing, and truly knowing one another. The battle is winnable because human beings were made for more than pixels. We were made for wonder, relationship, creation, and contribution. Our children are worth every uncomfortable choice, every boundary, and every redirected hour. Let this be our rallying cry. We see the enemy, we know how to fight it, and we will not surrender the minds and futures of our most precious gift. Together, as parents and as people, we can break the hold of the Gollum effect and raise a generation that is truly free, present, purposeful, and full of life. Available on Amazon, hardbound, paperback, and ebook. Order now. The time.
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, guys, welcome to the program. We're going to talk about are the conspiracy floodgates about to fully open? As if they've already haven't been open, right? But are they about to open in a massive way over the fact that Lindsey Graham suddenly, abruptly, as if there's any other way actually, but he just fell over dead. That's tough, isn't it? That's a tough deal to think about. And you're having all kinds of professional pontificators talking about it. And I'm going to ask you honest questions. I just ask you to be honest. That's all I want you to do, is to be honest with what you think, what you feel, and what you suspect going on. Because I have found it's when these things happen that minds are most susceptible to BS. And you found the traditional BS floodgates opening up over it. By the way, if you want to just kind of cleanse your palate one day, I don't know where you are in the country, massive storms and floods came through one of the family properties I was at. I had time. That's why I wasn't on there, but I had time, couldn't do much work. And so I watched a movie. I don't know if you've seen this thing, right? But I decided to watch it. I was told it was worth watching. And it's called Project Hail Mary. The tagline is "Believe in the Hail Mary." It's not what you think it is. I did not find it to be political at all. I didn't. But if you just want to watch a movie about the resilience of mankind, the ingenuity of mankind, basically having to answer the call, right? And no matter how you feel, doing what's right, take the time to watch this movie. It's worth it. And I think you'll appreciate it. And all I can tell you is it's not what you might think it may be. They did a good job with it. And that's why one of the things I'm talking about with Lindsey Graham and stuff is it might not be what you think it is. Now, I know all of this coincides. We got to ask ourselves, is this a coinky-dink? Iran released their hit list. Right? Lindsey Graham was one of them. Protests, all around doing their stuff. And lo and behold, Lindsey Graham is dead. Now, this is going to be a field day if you get your information from other people and you follow blindly. And there's always two sides to that coin. There's going to be people that are in the clicks business. I call them fraudcasters. They're going to make, hey, I knew it. I got the super secret signal. And when I saw the 7 rays of light, they did the signal with the red shoes and boom. Yes, they killed Lindsey Graham. And here's how. It was a ray gun for the bushes. The other side of the equation are going to take it to, oh, here's the agenda underway. Let me give you an example of what somebody just recently, right after this happened with Lindsey, what they just happened to find and share. Watch this.
Yesterday, Lindsey Graham suddenly passed away from a brief, unexpected illness, and weeks before that, Mitch McConnell is rushed to the hospital in absolute secrecy, with emergency dispatches reporting cardiac arrest and CPR. The mainstream wants you to look at their ages and nod along as if it's just coincidence, and they want you to accept the narrative of natural timing. But as those awake, we don't look at the script they hand us, and just accept it without question, but instead we look at the structural friction, the global game board, and any possibilities of it being something much deeper than the official narrative. We look at who just got cleared off the global chessboard, and what agenda that unlocks. We already know the elite's ultimate endgame is engineering a centralized, global digital cage, with separate digital currency domes designed to lock every transaction, every trade route, and every individual, into a total system of control, centralized through a main hub in Israel. But notice the tactical pivot happening right now, as this administration is bypassing the standard central bank digital currency push, and is steering instead toward a digitized financial infrastructure anchored by stablecoins. And that pivot right there lies the roadblock, because McConnell and Graham weren't just politicians, but they were the concrete foundations of the legacy banking cartel, the SWIFT network, and the weaponized petrodollar system, and their entire decades-long power structure depended on traditional banking rails. Both were fiercely protective of standard dollar diplomacy and old-guard banking institutions that stablecoins are explicitly designed to bypass. Furthermore, they were the fiercest, most aggressive war hawks pushing for endless funding against Russia, making them a volatile, old-world military framework that actively threatens the permanent, high-tech infrastructure needed for a digitized global network. So with these two institutional anchors suddenly neutralized, the legislative gridlock protecting the old petrodollar is shattered overnight, and the path to integrating a state-sanctioned digital ledger is wide open. I'm not here to hand you a conclusion, but I'm telling you to connect the dots and think for yourselves. Was this a calculated tactical removal to clear the way for the new digital currency architecture, or is it because Russia is a major player in the emerging regional digital dome, and the two biggest anti-Russian blockades had to go? Or is this just a massive, convenient coincidence of two old men? Regardless, the old gatekeepers are gone, the deck is cleared, and the timeline is now accelerating. So stop listening to the corporate scripts, question everything, and look at the mechanics of their system. We do not forgive, we do not forget. Anonymously enlightening out.
Okay. On that little bitty ditty, what do you think? I mean, you got to admit, there's nothing like a fictional character giving you the facts, but I'm not giving you facts. I'm not telling you what you think, but here's what happened, but I'm not saying it happened. That was dropped right after this. Somebody said, "Oh, look what I found. Isn't this interesting?" Is it? Is that what's interesting? Do you think, just put it in chat. I'll watch chat here. Do you think this has anything to do with what happened, right? What's going on? Mitch McConnell, whether he's dead, alive, don't know, but you can bet one thing. The system's going to prop up the zombie as long as they can to try to stay in control with no regard whether it's blue or red or anything else. It's just the way it happens. But do you give any credence to drops like that? Is your mind so susceptible that you actually believe you got the truth because the person goes by a name that's not a name, swears they're part of a shadow organization without saying they're a shadow organization, doing it anonymously, wearing a mask, but giving you the facts? Here's what I say. I call bullshit. A person who has the facts is face forward, auditable, you know who they are, and they're calling out the bullshit and giving the facts. That's the facts. But people who do it behind masks, are you influenced by that? And how convenient. Oh, that's just another sign of this and that and this and that and keyword and keyword and keyword and keyword and keyword. Let me ask you another question. I put it on my, maybe somebody can find this on my Twitter because I can't see it on my own Twitter. I asked you, I put in there, okay, think about all the podcasters that said Charlie Kirk was still alive, not really killed. Do you remember that little ditty? I asked the question, okay? I asked the question, how many of you followed people that told you Charlie Kirk really wasn't killed? He was put into protective custody. It's all just to ferret people out. And now you sit here today, you know Charlie is dead, was assassinated. But here's my question, because this is about you. The people that told you Charlie Kirk really wasn't assassinated, okay? Do you still follow those people? See, this is why I said it's about us. It's about us all the time, right? I'll give you an example. Attorneys supposedly fighting for election integrity, if they're in front of the microphone, will tell you we've looked at everything, every bit of evidence. Behind the scenes, they haven't cracked a book, haven't looked at a video, haven't watched anything, don't care because they're on an agenda. I can tell you what you hear coming out front is not really what goes on behind the scenes. It's just not. So, but I asked this question is, we live in this crap. I asked this question. Think about how many fraudster and so-called influencers tried to sell you on Charlie Kirk was really not really dead. It was a cover-up. Now ask yourself the most important question. Do you still honor those people with your follow or consuming their garbage? And if you do, that says a lot about you and your standards. Have you audited yourself? I'm asking you an honest question. Because see, if you followed somebody that said Charlie Kirk wasn't really killed, I saw it come out of the guy's bat ring, and you're still following those people, you have a moral clarity problem. At worst case, you have no standards. This is the conflict we're in. We want to impose standards in our life and get all this fixed when, in fact, a lot of people don't even have standards. Does that make sense? Did you erase those people from your life? And honestly, most people watching this, the answer is no. You still got your fights. But see, you don't think about your influence. You might have, 300 followers on Twitters. When your buddies, friends, families, the people you influence, go to that person's site, Charlie wasn't really killed. You ever noticed when they go to it, they're going to see, because they follow you, that you also follow this person. Those people get an endorsement every time from you. Now, why do I even talk about this? Why do I talk about it? How does it tie into all this stuff? Because I'm telling you, I think the conspiracy shitstorm floodgates are about to open, and that fraudcaster verbal diarrhea is going to come pouring out. And it's going to be just like it is every other time. It's going to be about 70% truth, 30% bullshit to get you to click. But then there's ones I question. Then there are some I question. Let me show you one. You may have seen this. This is, and people were reporting it to the FBI. I had Ivan Raiklin on, who will tell you, I like the Jews. I have no problem with the Jews, which will tell you the AIPAC stuff, all crap, all the Jew hating. I told you this was coming. I told you I was seeing it behind the scenes. Boom, when it finally emerges, here it is. It's people like Ivan Raiklin. Look at this. Somebody called it out, because if you look at the timestamp of Ivan, he called out Lindsey Graham saying, "Are you trying to visit Mitch?" At the time, EMS was there. Following up by, keep an eye what Ted Cruz does or what happens to him next. Now, I find this really weird. Why would you be even suggesting, everybody's talking about Mitch McConnell being dead, right? But you actually tweet at the time emergency services are there. Are you trying to visit Mitch after you said Mitch was dead? And then you jump to Cruz. What's going to happen to Cruz next? To make matters worse, here it is again. Somebody comments, I don't know, to him, I don't know who you are, but can you help us get rid of a few more unwanted politicians? We would be grateful. And his answer is, stand back and stand by. Now, I know Ivan. I drew my line with Ivan a long time ago. You know why I drew my line with Ivan? I drew my line with Ivan when it came to the Arizona audit, when Liz Harris was putting together the speakers. Ivan, because he inserts himself in everything, was the one who told Liz, don't have Jovan, he's too controversial. You cannot have Jovan here to present his evidence. They'll blackball you. They won't. It was Ivan who was that messenger. Who spoke? Ivan, which has nothing to do with it. Now, ever since that time, I wrote Ivan off and have called him out for it. What the fuck do you have to do with Arizona and the audit? Well, he had a job to do. What was the job to do? To make sure the facts of the audit did not get into that hearing either, and they went to work on Liz Harris. But who spoke as an election integrity expert? Now I look at this stuff and I'm looking, what is the coincidence here with Ivan Raiklin that you're calling out Lindsey as he's already dead on the stretcher, saying you're trying to visit Mitch when you were already talking about he was dead. Then somebody kind of follows it up saying, hey, what about the rest of them? And you say, stand back and stand by. Now, let me ask you a question. How does that help anything? How does that help anything? Does it help the call of election integrity? Does it help the call that we're good people fighting for our country? Put a microphone out. Ivan's there, going to get in front of it. But does that help any of us? Does that help people that really fight? And Ivan is one of these protected people. Serves this purpose, does it? But how does that help all of us? How does even being tied to this not reflect on all of us in election integrity? Okay, Lindsey Graham died. We'll talk about it in a minute. But you're actually tweeting as he's on the stretcher, you're trying to visit Mitch. Then you follow up because it's going to look, now the SAVE Act is going to fall to Cruz. Most people don't follow what's really going on. It's going to now fall down to Cruz. And he's saying, well, keep your eye on Cruz and what happens to him next. Not what he does next. Not what he does next. Words matter in my world. Not what he does next. Watch what happens to him next. And then the normal chatters after that, hey, Lindsey, you trying to visit Mitch? Isn't this the same childish, petulant shit the woke left does, taunting people with death, I hope you die, whatever? And here's a military person in circles doing this. And then when somebody does mouth off, well, I don't know who you are, but can you help get rid of a few more unwanted politicians? We'd be grateful. And he says, stand back and stand by. Now you understand why people were reporting this to the Secret Service and the FBI. And he's got his military retirement and pension, somewhat of a security clearance, protected in circles. But I'm telling you right now, when he says, watch what Ted Cruz happens to him next, something's going on. And when somebody actually says, get rid of a few more, he says, stand by and stand back. I got to tell you, and I'm going to tell you honestly, I'm in these back channels. I watch all this chatter. I don't just post shit there every day to post and say, hey, look at me or whatever. I'll tell them when I got a new book coming out. If I have something to offer, I do. This morning, with a list of who's who, I left all those back channels. I said, I can't do this. It's been 6 years, cost me dearly, and in essence, this is the same shit the left does. No action, no fucking follow through, bullshit, right? Let's just play politics. We'll get in, get everybody together, make it. Nothing happens. I'm letting you know, some of the highest levels in the country, this step, I left this morning after seeing this shit, among other shit. Because this is not what I am. And my definition of fighting for this country is you do not engage in the conspiracy shit. You don't feed it. You don't fight for clicks. You don't do this bullshit. We either fight the fucking war with facts and solutions, not with, well, we do data. You know, we had these people move into this neighborhood and these people moved out. And here's what the real estate records say. And that fixes election. I don't stand for that shit. So I did. I left as of this morning. I said, I'm done. I'm out. Most people would stay in it. And when you look at all the big names and everything else going, oh, you're in a cool group and it's a secret. No. We're down to either America survives or not. It's not about does somebody get to start a new nonprofit. Does somebody get to start a new fucking rally? Oh, we'll get them together in cities. It's not about that. We either are effective at what we do, or we are part of the political apparatus. And I watch this and I look at it. Look, I will not turn a blind eye. I will not turn a blind eye if it's off point, off mission. People can be who they are, but as I sit back and watch and I accumulate this and see it and understand it, eventually you begin to see what it's for. Here is Grace Chong, who follows me. But think about this. This is Steve Bannon's producer and CFO. And she's now saying, one less. Is there any humor in this? Answer me honestly, am I just a bitch? Am I just a sniveling, whiny bitch to say, look, I'll cuss, I say fuck regularly. And I don't judge people by that. I don't have to say, I'm so Christian, I'm Christiany, and I don't have to tell people I'm a patriot. I just have standards. But is this okay on any side? Am I just a whiny bitch? When I look at people that are supposed to be fighting for this conservative country, and you come out with something like one less, or somebody says, can you kill more? I don't know who you are, but can you take out more? Well, stand back and stand by. To me, that's two things. That's lack of character and politics, petty politics. What got us in this mess to begin with? Petty politics. It's like Ivan. You put a camera in the room, he's going to find a way to get in it because he now fancies himself a broadcaster, an investigator, an agitator, or whatever. Why aren't we just solutions? We're trapped in a system that has no solutions because solutions aren't valued. So why would we add to that? I'm asking you honestly, am I just being a whiny bitch? If I'm willing to basically say, I am fucking done. I am done. You can look at this list of names. None of them, Mel K will tackle this shit head on. But see, Mel K and I face the same thing. A lot of the reasons you don't see us on other programs is because we're Jews. They'll use the shit out of us. They'll use us to gather people in a room. They'll use us to get hundreds of people or key people together, and then boom, take it over. You're used, you're done. And it is 100% because we are Jews. They can't look at us as Americans fighting for America because we have this one little stigma, even in their conservative patriot book, we're Jews. That's why I say the floodgates are going to open on this stuff. And it makes me do soul searching. It makes me do heavy soul searching. And for me, right, wrong, or indifferent, and I can look at a list of 25 individuals, or I can look at a list of 10 individuals supposed to be the best of the best of the best, and I have to say, I'm out. I can't do it. I can't sit back and watch nothing really getting done, and it's still politics no matter what. And the answer to solving our solution as a country is not do a tour, get on the road, and set up a nonprofit. That's bullshit. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats support each other, and that's why they can take a tiny group of people and move the whole fucking nation because they stay on target. Take the Republicans, fucking forget it. Buddy fucking Central, well, it's one of my military budgets, this, they follow orders, they do this, and they'll promote that all the time at the detriment of being effective in our country. Now, in all of this is trapped us, we the people. I do not consider myself part of a group. I want you to understand one thing about me. I'm not on anybody's team. I never have been. I never will be. That gets used against me. Jovan's not a team player. You're right, I'm not a team player. I am a highly technical, focused, laser fucking dot, get it done, here it is. I'm non-emotional about that. Most of them are terrified of my intellect. But what I don't do. You can't use this brand with me. No, I'm not part of that team. Can't use this brand with me. No, I'm not part of that team. Well, you got to join election 10. We got to do it. Got to be part of. No, I am not on anybody's team except one, the fucking United States of America. I kind of think this is, you can have me cuss, but isn't this conduct unbecoming? How can you take an ex-military person joking about this and somebody saying, can you take out more politicians? And they fall right into it and say, stand back and stand by. It's fucking Napoleon little man fucking click syndrome. But this is what the system promotes. And if you wonder if broadcast have other intentions, why in the hell, Grace, what do you mean by, okay, it's one less? What does that mean? Can you interpret that for me? What does that mean? Now, I want you to understand there's only three things that will possibly happen to me. They'll either kill me, they've already tried, or in these groups, you're going to find a massive wave coming out against me, trying to destroy me, which in many ways they help the left do. Or they're just going to forget about me and go on. But I want to let you know something about me because you're going to see my content changing. I am okay being an island. I am okay not going to the dinner parties. I am okay I'm part of this group and 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 I'm okay with it. Why am I okay with it? I'm okay with it because I'm about laser fucking focused facts. And if we don't get this fixed, sans politics, our country is doomed. Now, what it does is it becomes a measuring stick for me. I actually get to see who is willing to fight that fight with me. And it's interesting to watch. It's very, very interesting to watch. Because you learn real quick looking at back channels who's truthful, who's not, who's playing politics, and who really wants it fixed. But the question I ask you on this is, am I just being a whiny bitch? Am I being petulant? Am I being a snowflake? When I can call out supposedly a fellow patriot, a fellow election integritator, a former military person, am I being petulant that I will even call him out? Knock this bullshit off. See, I think it reflects on all of us. I know the stats when somebody comes out, well, it's AIPAC and it's this and it's this and it's this and it's this. When I understand that is an operation game, which I watched develop behind the scenes 60 days before it got deployed. Am I just being a whiny bitch? If I am, tell me. Because I got to tell you, having absolute hard standards is a liability. Dealing with the truth is a liability. Everything I do in my life is measured. It's like sending out videos to lawmakers for the audit, encoding it. They have their own access codes and nobody watching it. It's so I can audit the people who supposedly have me doing an audit. And if they don't even fucking look, I know what they're actually going to end up doing. Don't you get it? Doesn't that make sense? Isn't it time for all the bullshit? It has cost me dearly. It's just like saying, I don't want the images from the machines when I know I want the image from machines and they willingly give them up. Or somebody actually telling you, I looked at all his work. It was 27 books. It was all this books. You can't even read it when I never released the data that way. Oops. It tells you who really pays attention, who's really in it. And I got to tell you, $100+ million has been raised in this little election integrity bullshit shit. While they get as many, by the way, all of you people for Cause of America, all of you people that donated your time, your effort, and everything else for Cause of America, did you actually know they were getting paid $200,000 a month to do what they do? See, the system will bind you into groups under the guise you're fixing something. They do it to corral you, and it's all PSYOP. It's all fucking PSYOP. I mean, think about that. Think about how many people donated their time to Cause of America, still do, but you only find out when you look at the numbers. Mike Lindell raised $18 million for it in his defense fund, pays it $200,000 a month to operate, but all of them will swear, we're doing it for free and we're just volunteers. The same thing, True the Vote. How many of you donated your time, True the Vote, going to look at the addresses, going to look at this, going to get into your system and do it, but they don't talk about almost 30 million bucks raised. But what did you do? You volunteered your time, and I'm going to work with them because I like them. And then when push comes to shove in courts of their data, well, we never really knew if the data was really accurate or not. What about the PCAPs? Well, Mike Lindell in court. Well, I never really had it. Think about the time you donated. Do you all understand a vast portion of us have been fucking corralled? I know as I watch chat, I'm looking at hundreds of people across all the chats that I absolutely know donated your time, busted your ass, knocked on doors, and did shit. Oh, we need volunteers. We need this. We need this. You do that work, except you signed an agreement. You can't talk about the work. None of it saw the light of day, but collectively they raised almost $100 million to do it. But it was your work you volunteered for that never sees the light of day. Think about that for a moment. To me, all of this falls into the same group. It's bad enough that you got a rogue, out of fucking control country that will put out a hit list. And by the way, they claimed responsibility for Lindsey Graham being dead and going immediately to hell. You will gladly, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, look at that shit, when you're captured too. Tina Peters out there still trying to hump money for the Tina Peters Defense Fund. She's now been captured by Q. They put her out on a speaking circuit. See, here's how I look at it. Tina Peters, and I'm giving you this because this all falls into this realm. I realize it comes from every side. Tina Peters was led down a path and chosen, in my book, my opinion, targeted. They used her. They used her to tell every county recorder, don't you dare question elections. They used her to validate their 6-degree polynomial, which was bullshit. She goes to prison for it, and they end up owning the martyr. And then now we're champions for the martyr. Get her out on the streets. What's the first thing you do? Put her on the speaking circuit with Q. Everything Q. It's just an operation by President Trump. See, people can't think literally. If you think President Trump was, and I laughed about this with him. We had this discussion. We fucking had this discussion 101. Right? You would have to believe if it was an operation by President Trump, he let the pandemic happen and millions of people die just to prove a point so he could find out who was bad. You understand that if you buy into the Q bullshit. That's my point. All of this stuff is managed around us. And I think this is going to open a very weird set of floodgates. But where's it going to take us? Where do we get in this? What happens in this? Okay, so right now my system is under attack. You're going to stand by. You're going to see a pump and dump. I've got to reset. It will only be momentarily. I am not going anywhere. Listen for a minute. I am being forced because of attacks on the systems to reset my system. Stand by. Here we go. It'll be a blink. Okay, now I've got to check my audio settings again. It rechanges everything. But isn't that interesting? I sit here, I share things with you. Boom. Let me show you something that Iranian TV was running because they claimed death for Lindsey Graham. Then we're going to talk about Lindsey's death. Watch this.
Iran's hit list may be out. A conservative newspaper in Iran has published a list of people to be targeted as revenge for the killing of the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. US-Israeli strikes killed the late Ayatollah on the 28th of February, the first day of this West Asia war. In his first message since his father's funeral last week, Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei warned those who he referred to as criminals, saying vengeance is the will of our nation and must inevitably be carried out, quote unquote. Now, the Hamshari newspaper released an infographic online which featured photos of as many as 13 foreign leaders alongside Mojtaba Khamenei. The Supreme Leader said Iran had compiled a list of individuals to be targeted but did not offer the names, and there was no suggestion the newspaper's list was officially endorsed. The infographic included US President Donald Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and also on the list are French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Now, Mojtaba Khamenei has not been seen in public since before the war started and was reportedly wounded in the strikes that killed his father and several members of his family.
And so people are going to read, and I'm going to give you a disclosure at the end of my program here. That I haven't talked about, but it will. Lindsey Graham, let me put it on my screen so you can look it up as I do this. This is what Lindsey Graham died of? Aortic dissection, an internal tear of the aorta associated with atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Okay, let me give you some background on this. The first thing you should know is this is also what killed Lindsey Graham's father at 59 years old. Okay? Excuse me, he was 69. A correction. Florence James, F.J. Graham, he died at 69 years ago, 1977, of exactly the same thing. Lindsey's mother had died 15 months previous from Hodgkin's lymphoma. So this is a pattern in his family. So you understand what this is as you look at it on my screen. And these are just the facts. And somebody say, well, it could be a doctor report. It's okay. I'm just giving you the facts. I'm just giving you the facts. You decide what it, well, it was a special ray gun with 7 rays of light that does this. And so, okay, so on Saturday, Lindsey Graham died. What this does is it causes the aorta to rupture, and then very fast, the body insanguinates inside itself, meaning it bleeds out, and it bleeds out incredibly fast, okay? It's when blood flow gets blocked or gets thick, it can complicate by hearts and kidneys and stuff, and then basically the heart valve basically blows out, and it triggers an instantaneous cardiac arrest. For this particular one, there is no recovery for it. You're going to feel a little bit of pain, you're going to feel a little bit of stuff. But your heart's going to blow out. Now, it's long associated with high blood pressure, okay, and aging, and you usually have to have some sort of aortic aneurysm present. And this particular one, which seems to be apparent in his family, is an inherited connected tissue issue like Marfan's or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. But a lot of people, especially with the fact when Iran came out and claimed responsibility for it, this is now going to take on a life of its own, especially when they've put out hit list. And then you got Hollywood celebrities. So they got Lindsey Graham, they got Mitch McConnell. It's going to happen in threes. And you got all kind of this crap with Trump next. And yes, I first found it a coincidence. I'm going, wait a minute. He was just in an overseas trip. He was fine. He landed. Now he's not. Sure looked like a poisoning to me. But when the facts come out, here's what it is. And also it makes perfect sense. His heart blew out. His heart blew out. I can understand that, and I can understand what happens. But the question is, how is this going to be used against our American society? Who are going to be the ones that are amplifying it? This is a hit list. Here it is. Yeah, we'll get more. Stand by and watch. Who in conservative circles is going to say, one less, one down? Does this help our cause? Does this help us as a nation? Does this help us find any solutions? Then it's going to go, well, it just called President Trump saying we're going to get the SAVE Act passed. Boom, he's dead. What I ask in all of this is we're going to have to okay, so hang on one second. I'm gonna show you. We're going to have a dialogue with people that are smarter than me. Trump swollen ankles must be a real account. Trump swollen ankles. Come on and join me. Educate us all. Give you thousands of people. You come educate us all. Remember when Trump fucked Stormy while Melania was at home with a baby? Remember when Trump said Strait of Hormuz is open? Remember when Trump said he'll pick the new leader of Iran? Still coming up with crazy conspiracies? Hey, Jovan, how's election fraud in Arizona? I'll tell you what, I'll defer to you because I know somebody with Trump swollen ankles as their account is a fucking genius. Or maybe looking for attention. So I sent you a link. Okay. I'm sorry that your ankles are swollen, right? I've sent you a link. Come join me because here's what it is. I will discuss it with you. I'll give you the platform. Keep on posting, you're going to go bye-bye. But if you join and you have balls, how many times did Trump say we won the war? Come on down. I'll give you 2 more times. Come on down. I will let you air. I will let you vent. I'm going to tell you what. You can even, I can't today, maybe tomorrow. I got to get on a conference call. Okay, I'll tell you what. Trump swollen ankles. Let's see if your word is true. I'll give you a 1-day reprieve. You join me tomorrow in the program. I will let you air. I will put you on the air and you tell me exactly how President Trump lies, fuck Stormy, and everything else. Because I'm sure somewhere in there you have a plan. I know you're a proficient bitcher, but I want to see what plan you got to get out of it. Because see, here's the deal. I am not red. I am not blue. I'm not a Democrat. I don't even think I'm a fucking independent. I'm certainly not a Republican. Not anymore. I've learned too much. I guess I'm a constitutional conservative. What was that stupid piece of shit you patented? I'm glad you asked. Folks, let me see if I can get that. Hang on 1 second. Let's see. I know you can't come on because you got to get on a conference call. I'll accept that. I don't know why you would come on and lie. But what was that stupid piece of shit you patented? The cat something? You're right. I patented a total useless piece of shit. Let me find it. Let me see if I can find the useless piece of shit. Yeah, the worst invention ever. Here's what I patented.
Never give up. In the late 1990s, one man dared to dream bigger than the world was ready for. He saw the internet, then mostly words and hidden IP addresses, and asked a radical question. What if every barcode on every product could instantly connect you to a website? Scan Commerce was born. He and his team manually linked millions of books, records, tapes, and consumer products to the web. Their vision? Simply scan the code and, boom, you're on the site. The problem? Only 6% of the world had internet. No camera phones. No smartphones. So he invented the QCat, a device that literally gave computers eyes. People mocked it. They ridiculed it. Mark Cuban called it the worst invention ever. But the numbers didn't lie. QCat and Q-codes became the fastest adopted computer peripheral in history, to reach 10% U.S. market penetration. Telephones, 25 years. Electricity, 30 years. Radio, 7 years. TV, 11 years. Internet, 9 years. QCat did it in just 30 days. It hit 1 million users in 30 days and 2.4 million in 60 days, faster than Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Airbnb ever dreamed of. Then disaster struck. The dot-com crash. 9/11. Markets froze. Capital died. The dream looked dead, but the inventor? He refused to quit. Jovan Hutton Pulitzer kept fighting. He nurtured those patents through the storm. He ignored the haters, the doubters, and the crash. Today, that dumb idea is the global standard and one of the most successful patent portfolios of the internet age. It's built into 21 billion mobile and wireless devices worldwide. It powers 2.7 billion scans every single day, over 1 trillion scans a year. And these scans, from one rogue idea, generate over $15 billion annually. The crazy dream that everyone laughed at now connects the world. That is the power of never giving up. It doesn't matter if they call your idea stupid. It doesn't matter if the market crashes. It doesn't matter if the world tries to bury you. What matters is that you refuse to stay buried. Your dream might be ridiculed today, but if you nurture it, protect it, and fight for it, it just might change the world tomorrow. So chase that dream. Take the shots. Fall down 7 times. Get up 8. Because the only thing standing between you and history is the decision to never give up. Now go build it. The world is waiting.
Yeah, I invented something really stupid. Shame on me. Now I'm going to get very real with you for a moment. You're going to have to bear with me. Part of what I've been struggling with, I don't know if you've noticed, I tend to get really high output. That's why I put out the Gollum book. And that's why, I put out the Three-Toed Dragon book. I've got another one that will drop here shortly called Blind Faith. I tend to get mega productive even more than I am just so I can cope, because I got to do the gymnastics and stuff in my brain. You know that MAGA, GOP, conservatives attacked my son during all this process. Right? When I started calling out that the Antifa call was bullshit and stuff, and this kind of setup went on, they started calling and attacking my son, doing all kinds of other stuff and targeting him. Unfortunately, I guess my son, going through, watching what I was going through, and I always worried about my son's, strength and all this that we as a family were going through. But my son has always had some of those issues that in it, right? But during that process of them attacking my son, my son basically went back to dealing drugs, which he had, doing drugs, which he had a problem with, and had a problem with, which had happened also when he was very young, wanting to stay alive. And it's a weakness I never understood in my son. But the attacks in doing this, I guess the cost of doing this, not only from a business standpoint, but then to also know that last year my son was hospitalized over it, trying to deal with who he is. And it doesn't help that my son basically shares my same name almost, which makes him a target. But the costs have been devastating, which I just shared with the group. I've lost my son. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Because I need to talk through this. Just give me a minute.
Are data centers going to destroy America? Will data centers and artificial intelligence rob our water supplies? Will it drive up our energy costs? What's fact? What's fiction? Here is the truth no one talks about. America must win the AI data center war or surrender the future to the great dragon. Award-winning, four-time best-selling author, technology, pioneer, and futurist, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer presents the definitive manual for winning this war against China, the three-toed dragon. Communist China's secret war to end American AI and data centers. China's relentless drive for AI dominance is no longer a distant threat. Through massive state-backed infrastructure, voracious energy consumption, and strategic control of global supply chains, the CCP is building an unstoppable technological empire. While America debates policy, China executes. This is not another tech trend. It is the decisive battlefield of the 21st century where data centers, power generation, cooling systems, and sovereign energy infrastructure will determine who controls intelligence, economic supremacy, and national security. This fact book, guidebook, handbook, and war plan cuts through the noise with meticulously researched intelligence on the hidden realities of AI data center demands. Exploding power requirements, industrial-scale water usage, heat island effects, liquid cooling breakthroughs, hydrogen and off-grid solutions, semiconductor vulnerabilities, and the strategic choke points China already exploits. It delivers actionable blueprints for American victory, from policy recommendations and energy independence strategies to practical deployment models for rural and sovereign systems that bypass fragile grids and foreign dependencies. For patriots, policymakers, energy entrepreneurs, technologists, and every citizen who refuses to live under digital authoritarianism, this is the essential field manual. America still holds the innovation edge, the resource base, and the will, but only if we act with urgency and clarity. The great dragon is moving at full speed. The time to seize victory in the AI data center war is now. Available on Amazon, hardbound, paperback, and ebook. Read it. Arm yourself. Win.
Okay, you gotta forgive me. I'm trying to do my best to maintain my composure. The losses is not just in our country, it's in our families. Many of you have had to deal with this. Many of you know that you've got kids on the edge or kids suicidal or kids don't know whatever, kids going nuts or kids turning to drugs. I honestly can tell you, I had no idea, honestly, what jumping into this mix trying to deal with my country would ultimately cost me. I was oblivious. And then you find that the toll, the people, let me show you who started this ball to roll by calling my son, suing my son, getting people to attack my son.
Did you know one man changed the entire face of election integrity in the USA in 2020? Here is the story. Maybe you have heard it. One man, supposedly, infiltrated an Antifa Zoom call in September 2020. Allegedly, on said call, a voting system company executive said, "Don't worry about the election. Trump is not gonna win. I made fucking sure of that." What was the evidence of such a call ever happening? Nothing. Not a recording, or an email, or a phone record, or even a live witness. But it was not a total loss. For the voting systems company, that is. The voting system company filed $10 billion in lawsuits. Then the voting systems company was paid in excess in $1 billion in damages. A company which had, according to Dun and Bradstreet filings, 36 million in annual sales. The bogus claim enabled the voting system company to make 2,700 more times in these lawsuits than they ever made as a company. Every case which included the bogus story of I infiltrated an Antifa Zoom call was booted from court. On the other hand, the voting system company made out like a bandit. Question is, who was the real bandit? The voting system company or the one man who claimed the story to begin with? Comment below.
So talking about this helps me cope. You know that way back when that Fanny's love muscle, Nathan, whatever his name was, in Georgia, you know, they reached out to my son and harassed him. Altman and team with Dr. Frank and others reached out to my son, harassed him, and sued him. That was enough to send my son over the edge into a downward spiral in addiction. And it had nothing to do with him. Nathan Wade, yeah, thank you. Other than he was my son. That's it. I've never, and I question this. I question it a lot as I think through these things, because the system will come after your kids. Period. People who will tell you they're Christian, try to quote scripture to you every day, will pick up the phone and target your kids. Will brag online, I'm going to take Jovan's son down. And they did. I've been damaged more by the right than the left. You'll get trolls in the left that will come and troll. But what they don't do is try to destroy your family, your children, your livelihood. I'll have somebody on the program. They'll gladly come on, we'll talk. Boom, the system attacks them for coming on my program. It's because the one place they understand they're going to get truth, and they just cannot afford that to happen. I had to vomit this out because I haven't talked about it. I've been keeping it quiet because, frankly, I just don't know how to deal with it. And then I've learned in this business, it's your supposed friends that actually keep your enemies informed, up to date. Whether it's lives at home, or lives in a battle, or lives to suicide, or lives to drugs. This fight we're in is for the soul of our nation. This is, and it's not just about my children or grandchildren or anything. I'm not sure people understand how evil and deep this fight is. And that's why I talk about, and I even show things, when we get engaged in this bullshit and we become the very thing that we fight against, and you insinuate, oh, I'll take more out, stand by, I'll get more out, right? Or we willy-nilly, and this is Bannon's CFO and stuff, oh, that's one less. We're not in a game, we're not in a popularity contest, because there are true costs behind this. And then trolls, which we've had this morning. Think about how sick our country has to be that somebody, and I'm just let me talk through this as I maintain my composure. Somebody will literally set up 5 different account names on Rumble, fake accounts, just so they can attack. That shows you how far we've fallen as a nation. Because unfortunately, nothing's off limits anymore. Not families, not children. You can't talk through your differences. It's all rhetoric, it's all attack. The troll today is a prime example, is they've got us eating each other. They've got us destroying each other. They've got us being foolish with fucking comments. Or they'll come out, hey, I don't know who you are, but can you help get rid of some of these other unwanted politicians? And you're literally supposed to be a leader, and you say, well, stand back, stand by. To me, that's treating all of this as a joke when there's so many of us behind the scenes that it costs dearly. I can imagine Ivan and his 2 sons. If he lost his son, because one thing I know he is he's a dad and cares about his son, he would fall apart. But that's the kind of rhetoric, that's the kind of actions that puts all of our children at risk, puts our nation at risk, because we're not serious enough. And it's politics, and it's one-upmanships, and it's who can get clicks, and who can make up the story that if it bleeds, it leads, and it does this. We've been trapped in a massive game. For me, and this is for me only, I can't participate in this stuff because the cost to me as a human, as a businessman, as a father, I could have never imagined what it would ultimately cost me. Or the weaknesses it would bring out, or the things it would make people do, or the things it would make people say, or the things that make people show up. And the irony of it is a lot of the people that are actually doing it behind the scenes are the ones that got to tell you how great they're a Christian, are wearing their crosses on the outside of the church, but are actually orchestrating this stuff. Now with what happened to my children, both instances, different ways, I sit here and think, wow, How many good years do I have left? You're maybe seeing a little bit of mortality striking me and dealing with this, that I'm rushing to get out all the works that I've been putting off and hadn't finished, doing my best to make a difference. For me, when we watched what happened in 2020, which was an attack and a coup, it happened because they were so comfortable with what they had done to Americans. They were so comfortable that Americans would turn on each other and would cannibalize each other. And America did. They were comfortable that people would break up into groups and factions and cliques, and all it did was divide everybody further, because the truth didn't matter, the coverage mattered. And then when you step back and look at the system, well, let's put this person up here when has no basis on how let's just use elections, how elections really run, what are done, couldn't tell you, but could give you great polynomial, strategic, fractal, pterodactyl stats. That's why we're in this mess. I don't want to see my country go down. I'm this real interesting mix. I'm tough as fucking nails, and I'm as shattered as they come. And for me, it's a walk to keep this jigsaw puzzle together and serve. I break too, just like anyone else. I've been holding too much in, and I'll discuss my son at a different time. It's just too much. But for me, I got to get it out. And you got to understand, folks, I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you're fucking Catholic, Jewish, Christian, or whatever. We are all in this together. That person who marches for Antifa is going to get equally raped by the system and taken advantage of as us that are hardcore patriots. And by the way, I hate using that word now because it's been so overused, because people got to tell you, I'm a patriot, I'm a better patriot than you because I'm the patriot. No. We're the godly people, and here in our country, you're either an American or you're not. If I had one big opus of final work left in my life, it would be just to help us get rid of the fucking hyphens. We are not Republicans or Democrats or independents or greenie meanies. Those are brands, those are bullshit labels that are constantly manipulated. We're at the time in history now, folks. We either, for our country, because I know I have a lot of international watch, we either are Americans or we're not. And that means it's up to us. Then it comes into us as parents. Because no God-fearing parent would want their child to grow up in a world that makes you think you can cut your wanker off and you'll be a girl. But we own every bit of this. We own it because we haven't mastered how to look at things objectively from afar and understand where, when, and how are we being manipulated. And I'm telling you right now, everything is a manipulation. I learned it during the Kerry Lake trial when I'm giving them evidence and giving them stuff. And when it gets up to the lead attorney, the only thing that happened is those supporting attorneys got fired. Then I really got a dose of what the game was. When lawmakers that say, we got you an audit, we got this, we want to do this, when they never even accepted the FedEx packages or what, I knew what the game was. When they took the catchphrase of a full forensic audit and go around traveling to 30 states, I'm going to get them in every state, rah, 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 look at me. but they raised $4 million, but say it cost them like $3.5 million to do it. It's a racket. It's all a racket. It's all a racket. And then I look at the people truly trying to fight this, that I know are really trying hard to fight it and show people what's going on. And the system is breaking them. It'll use them, but it's breaking them. All I can say that I understand in all of this mess is you've got to dig deeper what it means to be a faith-driven person, which is your free will, and where to put your faith. I've put my faith in a military uniform. I've put my faith in this person is in a high standing, they're the greatest. None of those ended up being real. When it came to us collectively as Americans and as humans, because invariably so many people are not looking to good. They're looking to find a way to game the system, to be relevant, to be liked, to be loved, to be clicked, to be viewed, to be promoted, to be whatever. And the reality is none of that matters. None of that matters. The only thing that matters in all of this, and I can tell you firsthand, it can ultimately end up costing you everything that you hold dear. Is if we don't stay this course, there was no reason for them to go after my son. There was no reason for Nathan Wade and them to call all my children and my son and tell them, your dad's this, your dad's bad, we need this, we need it, when they could have just called me. That's not the game. The game is to destroy everything around you to make you pay. There's no reason a conservative podcaster would get on there daily and say, you watch, I'm going to take his son down. And did. To me, in my book, that's evil. Can't be explained away. It's never okay. It's just evil. Evil, evil, evil. But they're doing it to all of us. It's just different degrees of where you are and what you live in life and what you do. I wouldn't call this end times because that's not what I believe. But I would call it the time that was prophetically talked about, where angels and demons and evil, darkness and light, where the veil is thinner than it's ever been, where the battle's all around us so close. That's where we are. You're watching this broadcast and you're even participating in this election integrity stuff, and there's no integrity in election integrity. I believe because God has put it on your heart that we got to get this fixed, and somehow you play a role. But what we have to do is we have to figure out collectively how to get our shit together. All of us are going to be affected in different ways. But if we can find a path to understand we save America or not. To me, whether you like it or not, or you agree, I believe the formation of America is divine. And it is the shining beacon, just as Reagan said. We've got to find a way to pull all this together. We've got to find a way to have higher standards. We got to find a way to value just truth. Absolute provable facts, not promotion, not airtime, not bullshit 6-degree polynomials or whatever. We've got to find out a way for all of us to come together to value truth, because we can't afford to end up having to sacrifice our children to this system. I never saw it coming. I didn't. The pain is so immense. It pours out of me at times, and the times I just kind of shut down and I'm a wall. And then it pours out of me at times, and times it shuts down the wall. Plagues me with nightmares. But the only thing right now kind of keeping me and my shit together is I think I recognize the godly and biblical nature of what's going on and what we are being asked to fight for God and fight for what's right. And I've said this before, but it means more now when I talk about my son, what has happened. I think long ago, God taught, we'll call them prophets, call them whatever, but he kind of spoke one-on-one for a few people and relied on those people to go out spreading the word or whatever. I actually believe right now, in this time, God's talking to every one of us. I truly believe that. God is talking to every freaking one of us at the same time. And maybe for the first time in history, mankind's being called. Not a few prophets, not a few saviors, not a new Messiah, not any of that. He's calling on every one of us because the battle's that serious. And I think that's why we see so much evil and attack all at the same time, because the human frailty of us is we can get distracted and we can chase red shoes or 7 rays of light or look at this or save the kids or whatever, but we forget we're battling Lucifer and Lucifer's realm. And that's what we've come to. I don't think I could stress enough that's really what's going on. What is really, really, really going on is like something out of fucking Lord of the Rings and Mordor, and they're consuming everything and just going to consume everything in their past. I can't stress this is not passive. This is not minor. It's global. I mean, come on, folks. It's global. They're telling us our kids aren't off limits. They'll have sex with our kids. It's okay. They're telling us they're better than God. You can cut off your wiener, be a girl. You can cut off your boobs, you're going to be a guy. That they replace God. I don't think we've ever seen evil the way we see evil out in front. And in many ways, evil's winning. And they're winning because we're fractured. They're organized. We're fractured. Evil's organized. Evil uses the system. Evil uses its network. Evil uses its resource. Evil stays on message. And the fact that they're focused on destruction and we are disfocused on what to fight and what really matters, in many ways, evil is winning. And I see this every day. Every fucking day. I guess the whole point of it is every day there's going to be a new conspiracy to chase. That's why I said the floodgates are going to open with this shit. And so let's say hypothetically, because Lindsey Graham was on an Iranian hit list, that somehow they had a magic machine that split open his heart. What does that change? Here's the deal. It changes nothing, because let me tell you why. We already knew we're fighting evil. We're already fighting a religion that tells you it's our religion or the highway, and if you don't accept it, we'll cut your fucking head off. We know what evil looks like. And while their troops are surrounding us and invading our country, we're fucking pontificating whether Trump was still president when Biden was in and he was running a super secret operation, or whether somebody who wears red shoes means they're a pedophile, or whether somebody invokes an old prayer that's Catholic by nature saying 7 rays of light, or whether they're, do you follow what happens? We are caught in all these little bitty fucking bullshit squabbles and nothingness. And nothingness. While the enemy surrounds us and watches us eat ourselves. And I'll give you a good example. When you look at some of the most significant things in the world, like our construction of the Hoover Dam, which is a modern marvel in the United States of America, and you look at the decades and decades and decades and decades it took to build it, to engineer it and do it, and then you come over here and you look at the tweet like it's the Jews explaining that Jews are bad, and you do a simple mathematical analysis of all the tweets in that line, forwarding it, sharing it, commenting on it, you realize if that little spit of effort, about a minute of your time, if that minute of time would not have been engaging with it's the Jews and promoting that, do you know what? If you were to lay that over to like the Hoover Dam and put all that same time back in, we would have built it in 1 year and 2 months. I share that with you to share a scale so you can understand the unfathomable man-time hours that the system is using hate to distract us. Whereas if everybody that retweeted that one little bullshit would have put it into something constructive that truly moves the needle, you can imagine what we could build, what we truly are as mankind doing great things. I mean, the scale's that monumental. You can run the numbers yourself. You can look up the tweet. You can look up how much time was put in. I infiltrated an Antifa call, and you can, or PCAPs. You can look at all the manpower hours looked into that. How many people retweeted it? How many people shared and talked about it? You can do what's called a time study analysis of how much was put into that bullshit. And that's time we'll never get back. But if you relate it to what mankind can really do when they set their mind to constructing something and doing something, and you find out fucking we could have built the Hoover Dam in a year with the same amount of time we all spent on that shit, you realize why the deception works the way it does. Because it's all about time and effort. That's all you got. That's all you got. Time, and where do you put your effort? And every time you put your time into whether red shoes, you know what you're not doing? Getting straight with God and working on how do I move this needle? That's the big deception and lie of all of this. So as I struggle with my losses, and I'm really writing wild emotional roller coaster because I'm just not quite sure how to deal with it. And cracks are showing in the wall because I haven't talked about it. And I only talked about it today in the Signal groups when I finally disclosed I lost my son over all this shit. And even we can't get our shit together, which is the only reason I decided to talk about it today. The one thing we're never going to get back is time. So whether Iran or Russia killed Lindsey Graham, that debate is irrelevant to saving our country and what we really have to fight to fix this. If we allow politics again to get a hold of our elections, it's over. If we lose this war with data and AI, we'll never have truth ever again. People will become more complacent. You're seeing me battle some people online. I'll just make a note. You can follow a trend. Somebody saying, well, what about this water? And animals aren't giving birth and whatever. And I call out the guy who's saying that. And I give you the exact stats on decibels. And you find out if they have a traditional windmill on land, the decibels from that go longer and further than a data center, but they use hype to do it. Maybe think of it this way. If you're sitting here today and you play out the scenario in your head that your children are dead, your grandchildren are dead, your grandchildren killed themselves, or whatever the case may be, and you think about where did I put my time to fight, did any of these little bullshit con quibbles move the needle that would have ultimately protected your family? Because I think we have to audit ourselves. And I know I went on a tangent today, and I know I broke today. I'm sorry. But we are rapidly approaching the point that if we don't get a hold of what we focus on and what really matters, everything every ancestor we ever had and all the effort they put into building a great nation will be lost and gone. And when you can look at somebody that swears they're a Christian, gives you godly verses, but to understand they will go after another man's child and brag in social media, I'm going to take his son down, and you choose to be part of that by following that, or you choose to follow people because they tell you they have a super secret connection with Q and the inside and whatever, it's a mass deception. And until our standards change as humans, nothing's going to change. But I do believe more now than ever, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose this. And it's like in Gladiator, let them be entertained. And boy, aren't people letting them be entertained? I'm sorry I broke today. I love you all. Take care.
Is technology killing our children? Are we inadvertently tuning our precious children and grandchildren into killers? The Gollum effect is real and it is stealing our children. Award-winning, 4-time best-selling author, technology pioneer and futurist, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer presents the definitive manual saving your children, grandchildren, and all future children from the Gollum effect. Precious pixels, deadly devices, how the digital and social era is creating killer kids. The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. The Gollum effect is not fiction or exaggeration. It is the quiet, relentless transformation happening in homes, schools, and bedrooms across our nation. Just as Smeagol became the hollow, obsessive golem clutching his precious ring, our children are being consumed by screens, algorithms, and digital validation that promise connection but deliver isolation, anxiety, fractured attention, and distorted identities. We see it in the toddler who tantrums without a tablet, the teen who cannot hold a conversation without checking notifications, and the young adult adrift in comparison and purposeless scrolling. As parents and as a nation, we must name this enemy clearly. It is not neutral technology. It is a powerful force engineered for addiction that preys on developing brains, eroding the very qualities our children need most. Deep focus, real relationships, resilience, creativity, and a secure sense of self. Ignoring it or downplaying it has already cost us dearly. Our most precious commodity, our children, our future, is at stake, and the time for complacency is over. We must know the enemy in this battle and be willing to face them head-on. To win this battle, we must first know the enemy, and then face it with courage and strategy. The Golem effect thrives on convenience, normalization, and profit-driven design that exploits boredom, fear of missing out, and the human need for connection. It hollows out childhood through endless stimulation while starving young minds of unstructured play, nature, hands-on mastery, and undivided attention from loving adults. Facing it means rejecting the lie that everyone is doing it, or that screens are harmless entertainment. It requires intentional action, delaying personal devices, creating tech-free zones and rhythms, prioritizing outdoor adventures and real-world skills, teaching critical thinking about algorithms and comparison, and modeling presence ourselves. Parents, educators, extended family, faith communities, and mental health professionals all have vital roles. The good news is that practical, proven strategies exist, from family media audits and screen-free weeks to rich offline learning, spiritual formation, and accountability partnerships. We do not have to fight alone. When we name the threat and choose presence over convenience, we begin reclaiming the minds and hearts of our children. We can win this battle and save our future, but you must have a solid knowledge base and the tools needed to win. We can win this battle, and we must, for the sake of our children and the soul of our nation. Every family that implements device curfews and real-world adventures, every classroom that goes phone-free during learning, every faith community that forms identity in something eternal, and every young person who chooses accountability and purpose strikes a blow against the Golem effect. Victory looks like children who play creatively for hours, teens who build deep friendships and meaningful skills offline, and young adults who enter life with focus, resilience, and hope. It looks like families eating together undistracted, laughing, and truly knowing one another. The battle is winnable because human beings were made for more than pixels. We were made for wonder, relationship, creation, and contribution. Our children are worth every uncomfortable choice, every boundary, and every redirected hour. Let this be our rallying cry. We see the enemy, we know how to fight it, and we will not surrender the minds and futures of our most precious gift. Together, as parents and as people, we can break the hold of the Golem effect and raise a generation that is truly free, present, purposeful, and full of life. Available on Amazon, hardbound, paperback, and ebook. Order now. The time to act is now. Our children are counting on us.